Hello, I am Super Orange Cat, and I'm back with another random anime review today. And today I'll be reviewing the summer 2013 anime Watamote. It's actually been primarily known by the title It's Not My as oh can't keep I keep messing this up, but it's like it's not my fault. It's your guys' fault that I'm not popular. I probably completely butchered that. But anyway, this was a very interesting show. In fact, it's kind of interesting how it was first received, and I'll go into that a bit later. The general plot synopsis that the main character is the titular character, not the titular character, the main character, Hiroki Tomoko. She's this unpopular girl. She's entering her first year of high school, and she's trying to make it to herself to try to become more and more popular, usually with overwhelming failure. And that's just the general plot of the show. There's very little say. It's just over the course of a school year, her trying all these different stereotypical things to get popular. Like, for example, she lies about having sex with boys. She tries to dress like a slut. Trying to think other stuff too that she did. Like a whole bunch of like stuff like that too. She just like bullshit how to be sexy. And even one part in the middle where she's obsessed with what's these called? The dating simulators. And she went up to a voice actor of the dating simulators and told him to say all these different things that are like really messed up and sexual. So she can just simply take them and splice the audio with her own recordings to create some weird scenario in which she's trapped her in a dungeon, some really creepy stuff, which shows to be part of her character too. Like, and I hinted at this at the last random anime review when I did, I believe, Engaged to Unidentified. I said, basically, imagine if Froppy's cousin was a femcel, because that's essentially what this is. Because let's be honest, if you know My Hero Academia, if you know quote unquote Froppy or Suyu Asui, she looks a lot like, let's be honest, she looks a lot like Kuroki Tomoko. And Kuroki Tomoko is what I refer to as a femcel, which is a common term for a female incel. And I think it fits because she has absolutely no charisma whatsoever, especially with boys. In fact, she has so much social anxiety that she can't talk to people. She can't look them in the eye unless they're like her brother, on some occasions her best friend, Yunuruse, which is another interesting thing too, because that's really another kind of theme of the show of other people moving on from you and how to deal with that. Because you had Yunuruse, she went to the same middle school as Tomoko, and they were best friends. However, over the year, they went to different high schools, and you have Yunuruse, who used to be dorky and kind of a lot like Tomoko, blossom, become attractive, have a boyfriend, like do everything that I almost keep calling her Watamote, keep everything that Tomoko wants to do but can't. And it's just like this overwhelming feeling of jealousy or desperation. How there were multiple scenes where she would call up you just to ask what she would do in a situation just to copy her because she felt that, hey, she's got a boyfriend, she has everything I want, so I'm gonna imitate her, including one weird scene where she would ask what panties she's wearing, which was another funny, very creepy scene. And in a weird way, this show reminds me of The Office in a weird way. And let me explain. The Office, most of its humor, especially in the Michael Scott seasons, were derived off of cringe comedy, as in you're put in a social situation which is very awkward, very bizarre, and you feel this secondhand embarrassment for the main character. Like, for example, most notably, the episode of The Office where Michael Scott promised a bunch of third graders that he would pay for their college education. And then 10 years later, all these kids get into these colleges. Some go to like Ivy League universities, and he has to face the prospect that he can't pay them. And just that whole social situation. And that's what this show derives on so much. So much on just Tomoko's inability to interact in a social environment in general, and which created a lot of these different weird social scenarios, like when she told her cousin that a boy she talked to in the library was her boyfriend, which created an awkward situation when her cousin approached her, said, "Oh, you're cheating on my sister," and just the whole thing with Tomoko having to face that, her circumstances with that, and also the whole thing when she was kind of quote unquote trapped in McDonald's. So like, oh, I don't want people to see me, so I'm gonna go into this weird disguise where I just try to disguise myself as an attractive girl, but really I just look really, really ugly doing it. And my brother caught me doing it. Like just situations like that where you just feel the secondhand embarrassment for Tomoko. And that's why I think the series really, really thrives, which is something that I just can't. It's one of those things like it's like a slow motion train wreck. Like you don't want to look at it, but you just can't help but to not be able to look away. And that's something that the show does very well in throughout its 12 episodes. And like I said earlier, this show had very bizarre reception when it came out. Generally, it was more or less positive, glowing. And in many aspects, it was the anime of summer 2013. But Kotaku, the quote unquote famous anime site, actually completely panned this show, especially criticizing the whole concept of it attacking social anxiety disorder, which Tamako clearly has. In contrast to Anime News Network, who usually completely sucks at analyzing anime, actually came out and supported this show and actually said it was one of the best shows dealing with mental issues of all time. I forget, I can't see the actual wording right now. It was something similar to that. It was glowing. It was insanely glowing, which, like I said, it's rare that I agree with Anime News Network, but here we are. But again, just more general thoughts about the show. Let me just go specifically into stuff I loved. It's relatable. Growing up, I'm not going to say I was messed up nearly as much as Tomoko was mentally, but I was shy. I did struggle to look people in the eye when I was talking to them, and I can understand Tomoko in that way. Understand her inability to interact normally because that mentality. Like she has a bit of like this whole concept of I can't get friends, I'm lonely, but screw them because I'm better on my own, but you're really just lying to yourself. I can understand that. And that's something I really loved about Tomoko's character in this. Other stuff that I loved about this. I'll admit, I'm a sucker for the whole situational episode thing where there's a general continuity into the show as time is clearly passing over time, but at the same time, it's kind of just like a daily life type thing. Arguably, it's slice of life, very arguably, but at the same time, there's a very it's like it's an anime that follows tropes, but at the same time is completely subverting them too. I'm sorry, it's just a hard thing to explain because I read somewhere saying that that Tomoko is the anti-Moe character, where Moe is a cute girl who socially clumsy but can't help but to root for her. Meanwhile, you have someone like Tomoko who is so cringy, so unlikable, so putrid, but at the same time, you have to root for her because she's real. It's just one of the things about anime. A big problem that anime usually has is that it can't really give that feeling of reality. It feels like it's its own world. This show is different in which this feels like this could happen in the real world, you know? And that's something that really struck out to me, and I really ended up loving about the show. I'm trying to think about. There's not much I didn't like about it. I kind of hated how sudden it ends. This is a spoiler here. Okay, towards the end of the show, she kind of makes friends with one of the members of the student council who herself is insanely popular. And at the end, she's trying to say like hi to her, but because of her own social anxiety, she just can't get her way to say it. But like at the instant she finally builds up enough courage to, like a wind gust comes, skirt of the council of the girl in the student council goes up, she could see her panties, and due to just mutual embarrassment, Tomoko just like stays still and then just darts backwards for like endlessly. And then you have this whole thing of all the characters interacting. Like her brother was like, "Oh, playing soccer," and sees his sister running full speed. Like, what the hell? And then you have her friend Yu Naruse, like try to follow her, talk to her, but like she's running so fast she can't keep up with her. It's just like that too. I just found this. It was just sudden. Like as fairy tale-ish as it sounds, I kind of would wish for an ending where she at least kind of makes a friend. And that's what they're going to do through the girl on the student council. Be like, yeah, she's not as popular as she intended, but at least she has something that can make her happy. But they kind of don't end like that. I think it was anticipation of a season. And although, and it looked like the show was built in a way that it was going to have a second season, but as far as I can tell online, there isn't a second season. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that. But I actually like this, and for the other anime I've done the random anime review for, I watched the sub of it. And one interesting fact is when I looked online, apparently there is a dub of Watamote that aired like 2 years later. The main character, Tamako, was voiced by Monica Rial in the dub, which is in a weird way very fitting because of, how fucked in the head Monica Rial is in real life. It kind of fits Tamako in a weird way. Okay, Tomako's not that fucked up as Monica Rial, but still, I just found that to be pretty interesting in a weird way. So, what do you guys feel about this anime? Do you love this anime? Have you watched it? Do you want to watch it? What anime do you want me to review in the future? If you have any suggestions, I appreciate support. If you want me to keep doing anime reviews like this, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Please hit that notification button. I appreciate your guys' support. I am Super Orange Cat, and that is all.